Okay, I'm going to introduce Jim Harrison. He's part of our team. He was at the beginning of our slide there. Jim has recently taken on a new role. He's the director of our supply chain, which is awesome because we're getting a lot of questions about, supply chain issues, as you can imagine. So Jim has a 25 plus year background in operations and supply chain here in Phoenix. So Jim, take it away.
Thanks, Rodney.
Thank you.
All right, I'll try to be brief. I know we're up against the break, so I don't want to hold anybody from the break. Again, like Rodney said, prior to joining the MEP, I worked in supply chain, operations, engineering, and manufacturing here in Arizona. I'm a native Arizonan. I was recently asked to take on this new role with our team. Prior to that, I was a senior client advisor, just like Rodney and Tanya, working with clients, going out, helping them with their needs. My favorite part of the job is helping, figuring out how we can help and doing so. And I think we learned a lot of hard lessons during COVID about supply chain, or maybe we did, or maybe we didn't. We'll see. So a quick overview of what we're going to talk about is the supply chain. It's a partial focus of what we do at the MEP, and it'll be a bigger focus for the next few years. Supply chain support services, supply chain training, supply chain risk identification and mitigation, supplier scouting, and cybersecurity. A little bit of overlap there. First, support services. These are things that we've been doing and we have done with clients. Again, we're adding some things and we're trying to focus on this a little bit more. It's a focus from the federal government down through the Department of Commerce and NIST. It requires a position like mine in every single MEP in the country to help our small and medium-sized manufacturers be more robust in their supply chains and help them avoid issues like we saw during COVID. During COVID, Adam and Rodney helped a client ramp up from scratch a manufacturing site to build gowns, isolation gowns for hospitals. I'm sure it was on the news. I'm sure you've probably seen it. The Air National Guard was involved in bringing in material. It was a huge success, but it was out of necessity. We want to plan better for the next time. So supply chain training. We have some QR codes in here, so this will take you to our events. None of these are on the events yet, but if you keep an eye on it, maybe bookmark it, you'll see these coming up over the next few months and into next year. These are some of the trainings that we will have available to our small and medium-sized clients. We usually just do an open enrollment. You can go on here, sign up, and show up. We like to do more in person, but we do some virtual. Supply chain risk. Again, until COVID, a lot of people didn't know what that was until they couldn't get what they needed. We're working with some potential partners who can use AI to look at basically what's going on in the world, geopolitically, environmentally, and is there going to be a potential problem if you have a source of supply that's coming from somewhere that it's probably not going to get here due to something that's going on in that part of the world. It can drill down through multiple layers of supply chain. I don't even know, I'm not an expert in this, but they use bills of lading and just everything that's available out there and pull it all together and say, if you have a container coming from this country and there's a hurricane, you might not get it. Supplier scouting, this is something we've been doing for a couple of years. This is through NIST. This is probably one of my favorite parts of this job is introducing companies to companies, potential buyer-customer relationships. We like to do that locally here in Arizona whenever possible, but sometimes we just can't find the right source. So we have the ability to reach out to the national network, all the other MEPs, which is, there's 51 of us, and the 51st is Puerto Rico. They all have manufacturers and manufacturing clients. So if we can't introduce them here, we'll introduce them to a potential supplier in New York. And it goes the other way as well. If I have a client who's looking for something, I had one recently who was looking for a custom transformer. I put it out to the rest of the network, and we found a few potential sources. If you are interested in new business and you do certain things, you can subscribe and we'll send you the notification when we get something from New York or Michigan or Minnesota and they're looking for a particular type of widget. If you make that, I can make that introduction for you, and potentially that's new business for you. So it kind of goes both ways. Again, this is probably one of my favorite parts of what we do. There's no charge. This is free. This is introductions. This is driving impacts. Like Rodney said, did you sell more? Did you save costs? Those impacts that we need to report to NIST for our program. Again, here's another map. You've already seen it with Rodney. You've seen it once. These are the MEPs that we work with. We have good relationships in those states with my colleagues and our colleagues. We do best practices. So again, we have this available to us if you're trying to source something or potentially new business for you if they're looking for something. We engaged a few months ago with a company called Sustainment.net. It's a national database born out of the DoD for helping a particular Air Force base source some difficult items to source. And it's expanded. Some of the other MEPs are using this, and it's free to list your company on there and be seen. And you can also use it as a sourcing tool by putting in certain processes, certain certifications, and you basically it maps things for you, tells you what those things are, and then you can connect and you can manage sourcing projects with it. Here's a QR code, so you don't have to remember the URL. If you just click on that, you can set up your own profile. And if you miss this, you can circle back with me. I'll be around for a while. I can give you a card and I can direct you in the right direction. So again, that's another partner that we're working with to help connect suppliers and make the supply chain more robust. And then finally, cybersecurity. This ties into supply chain in a huge way. Rodney mentioned it a little bit. If you're part of the DoD supply chain, you probably already know about this. It's coming down through DFARS, and CMMC compliance is coming. It's been pushed a little bit, but we can help with that. I had 2 calls this week from local small manufacturers that are asking for help, and it's probably because their customer asked, and it's probably because their customer's customer asked, and it starts at the federal government. It works its way down through the primes and right to our 10-person mom and pop manufacturing shop. So we can help with this. If you know your advisor, if you have an advisor, you need help with that, reach out to me, and then we can help get you moving on it. It's better to be sooner than later because we work with third parties in this and their capacity is filling up. Also, once they do draw the line in the sand where they said, you're not getting another PO unless you're compliant, you don't want to be behind that. And those who are in front of it could potentially win more business because they're compliant. So kind of like AS 9100 and ISO was before, where customers were requiring it, but this is going to be even a harder requirement because there's too much risk to be had if the bad guys go out and lock up your system and now you can't supply to the government, and the government needs planes and weapons. So it's just too important. I went through that pretty quick, I understand. I wanted to make sure you get to the break in time. If you have any questions, I can probably take a couple quick ones. Otherwise, find me or find another MEP person and we can help you after and beyond today. Any questions? Everybody wants to go to break. Okay, thank you.